America. The name itself conjures up images: towering skyscrapers, vast prairies, bustling cities. It's a land of opportunity, a place where dreams can come true. It's the spirit of the people, a blend of ambition and resilience. People from all corners of the globe drawn by the promise of freedom. This melting pot of cultures has created a vibrant tapestry. It's a place where innovation thrives, a tale of triumphs and struggles, of progress and setbacks, yet through it all the enduring spirit of the American people has prevailed.
Our journey through America's past begins in the 18th century. 13 colonies, clinging to the eastern edge of a vast continent. Ruled by a distant king, these colonies are a melting pot of cultures, united by a growing sense of identity and self-determination. Taxes imposed without representation fueled resentment. The cry of no taxation, without representation, echoed through the cobblestone streets. The Boston Tea Party in 1773 marked a turning point. Colonists, disguised as Native Americans, dumped tea into the harbour, protesting unfair taxes. The stage was set for a showdown. The American Revolution, a war for independence, was about to begin. In the summer of 1776, representatives from the 13 colonies gathered in Philadelphia. They knew they were making history. A document was drafted, primarily by Thomas Jefferson. The Declaration of Independence proclaimed that all men are created equal, with unalienable rights. On July 4, 1776, the declaration was adopted by the Continental Congress, igniting celebrations throughout the colonies. The Liberty Bell rang out, its message of freedom echoing through the streets. The Declaration was a beacon of hope and a rallying cry for freedom. The signing of the Declaration of Independence was just the beginning. The American colonists, now revolutionaries, faced a daunting task. They were up against the most powerful military force in the world, but they had an unwavering belief in their cause. The Revolutionary War was brutal. The Continental Army, led by General George Washington, faced many setbacks. Outnumbered and outgunned, they persevered. Washington's leadership was crucial. His strategies, like the surprise attack on Trenton, boosted morale. Foreign support from France and Spain was vital. These alliances turned the tide. The decisive victory at Yorktown in 1781 ended the war. The American Revolution was a victory for the underdog, a triumph of courage and unity. Section 4. Forging a New Nation. With the Revolutionary War won, a new challenge awaited the newly independent United States, forging a nation from 13 disparate colonies. The Articles of Confederation, adopted in 1777, proved inadequate. It created a weak central government. Leaders convened in Philadelphia in 1787 to create a new framework for government. The result was the United States Constitution, establishing a system of government based on separation of powers, checks and balances, and federalism. The ratification in 1788 marked the birth of a new nation, the United States of America. Section 5. The Constitution. A blueprint for democracy. The U.S. Constitution, a living document, outlines the framework of the American government. It divides the government into 3 branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. Congress makes laws, the President enforces them, and the Supreme Court interprets them. This separation of powers, with checks and balances, prevents tyranny. The Bill of Rights guarantees fundamental freedoms, forming the bedrock of American democracy. Section 6. A nation divided. The early 19th century saw immense growth for the United States. The nation expanded westward, driven by manifest destiny. Yet, beneath this progress, slavery threatened to tear the nation apart. The southern states relied on slave labor, while the North pushed for abolition. The abolitionist movement gained momentum with acts like the Underground Railroad. Tensions rose over whether new territories would be free or slave states. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 was the breaking point. Southern states seceded, forming the Confederate States of America. In April 1861, the Civil War began at Fort Sumter, marking the start of the bloodiest conflict in American history. The year is 1861. The United States, once brimming with promise, finds itself fractured, a house divided. The issue of slavery has erupted into a full-blown conflict. The Civil War. The Confederate States, fiercely protective of their way of life, raise their battle flag against the Union. The North, industrialized and populous, face the South, with its agrarian economy and fierce fighting spirit. 4 years of brutal battles followed, from Gettysburg to Vicksburg, Antietam to Shiloh. The casualties mounted, painting the American landscape with the blood of its own citizens. The Civil War was more than just battles. It was a personal tragedy for every American, North and South. Behind the statistics lay countless stories of sacrifice, courage, and loss. Young men, driven by patriotism or adventure, left home to face horrors on blood-soaked battlefields, many never to return. Women took on new roles, managing farms and businesses, and became nurses, witnessing unimaginable suffering. Slaves, central to the conflict, endured bondage, praying for freedom, with some risking everything to escape. The Civil War scarred America, reminding us of unity's fragility, division's consequences, and the human spirit's resilience. Abraham Lincoln, a man of towering intellect and profound humanity, guided the nation through its darkest hour. He understood the Civil War was about confronting the moral evil of slavery. In 1863, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring the freedom of slaves in Confederate territories. Lincoln envisioned a reunited nation, healed from the wounds of war. Tragically, Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer. Despite his death, Lincoln's legacy lived on as the great emancipator and savior of the Union. Section 4. Reconstruction. Picking up the pieces. The guns fell silent in 1865, marking the end of the Civil War. But the journey was far from over. The nation faced the daunting task of reconstruction, of putting itself back together. The South lay in ruins, its economy shattered. How would the former Confederate States be reintegrated into the Union? The 13th Amendment abolished slavery, fulfilling the promise of freedom. The 14th and 15th Amendments granted citizenship and voting rights to black men. The South enacted black codes, and the Ku Klux Klan emerged, using violence to terrorize black communities. Reconstruction laid the groundwork for the Civil Rights Movement, a testament to the ongoing struggle for equality. Section 5. The South. Rebuilding and Remembering. In the aftermath of the Civil War, the South faced the daunting task of rebuilding not just its infrastructure, but its very identity. The defeat of the Confederacy and the abolition of slavery forced a reckoning with the past, a reassessment of values and beliefs. The South, once defined by its agrarian economy and reliance on slave labor, struggled to adapt to a new era. The plantation system lay in ruins, and the question of how to integrate former slaves into society as free and equal citizens loomed large. The process of reconciliation and rebuilding was fraught with tension, as old wounds refused to heal easily. the Lost Cause mythology emerged, a romanticized narrative of the Confederacy that downplayed the role of slavery in the conflict and glorified the Southern cause. Monuments to Confederate leaders were erected, and stories of Southern valor and sacrifice were passed down through generations. This selective remembering of the past served to mask the brutality of slavery and perpetuate racial divisions. It fostered a sense of nostalgia for a bygone era, hindering true reconciliation and perpetuating racial inequality. Yet, amidst the complexities of memory and the enduring legacy of racism, the South also exhibited resilience and a capacity for change. Black communities, despite facing immense challenges, built vibrant institutions and fought tirelessly for their rights. The South, a land marked by both tragedy and triumph, continued its journey towards healing and a more just future. Section 6. The enduring legacy of the Civil War. The Civil War, though a distant chapter in America's past, continues to cast a long shadow over the present. It was a pivotal event that reshaped the nation's political, social, and economic landscape, leaving an indelible mark on the American psyche. The war solidified the power of the federal government and reaffirmed the principle of national unity. It also brought about the end of slavery, a moral triumph that redefined the meaning of freedom and equality in America. However, the legacy of slavery and the deep racial divisions it engendered continue to haunt the nation. The Civil War reminds us of the fragility of democracy, the importance of dialogue and compromise, and the devastating consequences of unchecked division. It also highlights the enduring power of ideas, the courage of individuals who fight for what they believe in, and the ongoing struggle to create a more just and equitable society. Today, as America grapples with issues of race, equality, and social justice, the echoes of the Civil War continue to resonate. It serves as a reminder that the pursuit of a more perfect union is an ongoing process, a journey that demands vigilance, empathy, and a willingness to confront the ghosts of the past in order to build a better future. As the 19th century gave way to the 20th, America stood at the cusp of a new era. The nation, having survived its greatest test with the Civil War, looked ahead with a mix of optimism and uncertainty. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing, transforming the landscape and the economy. Cities swelled with new arrivals, both immigrants seeking a better life, and rural Americans drawn by the promise of opportunity. Skyscrapers, those marvels of modern engineering, pierced the sky, symbols of progress and ambition. The automobile, once a novelty, began to reshape the American landscape, promising a new era of personal mobility. Inventions like the telephone and electricity revolutionized communication and daily life. America was on the move, its people brimming with energy and a belief that anything was possible. Yet, beneath the surface of this booming prosperity, social and political tensions simmered. The gap between the rich and the poor widened, fueling labor unrest and social reform movements. The progressive era dawned, a time of muckraking journalism, political activism, and calls for social justice. Women, long denied the right to vote, campaigned tirelessly for suffrage, their voices growing louder and more insistent. Immigrants, arriving in droves from Europe and Asia, faced discrimination and prejudice. But they also brought with them their cultures, their traditions, and their dreams, enriching the American tapestry. America, at the dawn of the 20th century, was a nation brimming with contradictions, a land of both immense promise and profound challenges. The 1920s roared into view, a decade of dizzying change. The Jazz Age was in full swing, with flappers challenging traditional norms. Prohibition fueled speakeasies and organized crime. America's economy boomed, but the party couldn't last. In 1929, the stock market crashed, leading to the Great Depression. Bread lines stretched for blocks. Dust storms ravaged the Midwest, turning farmland into wasteland. The American dream seemed to evaporate. President Roosevelt's New Deal aimed to provide relief and recovery, creating jobs and establishing Social Security. As the 1930s ended, the world watched as war clouds gathered. The rise of fascism in Europe and Asia threatened global stability, drawing America into the conflict. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 shattered any illusions of neutrality. America, outraged, declared war on Japan, joining the Allies. The nation mobilized for war, its factories humming, its young men and women enlisting by the millions. From Normandy to the Pacific, American soldiers fought with courage, their sacrifices turning the tide of the war. On the home front, women took on new roles in factories and shipyards. The nation united to defeat fascism and preserve liberty. World War II was a defining moment for America, shaping its role in the world. The war ended the Great Depression, ushered in economic prosperity, and cemented America's status as a superpower. Yet, it came at a tremendous cost, with hundreds of thousands of American lives lost. The ashes of World War II had barely settled when a new conflict emerged: the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union, once allies, found themselves locked in an ideological struggle. The Cold War was a battle of ideologies, played out through proxy wars, espionage, and an arms race. The threat of nuclear annihilation hung over the world, shaping every aspect of life. In Europe, the Berlin Wall symbolized a divided continent. In Asia, the Korean and Vietnam Wars showcased the human cost of this conflict. In Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East, the superpowers vied for influence. The Cold War was a time of fear and resolve, technological innovation, and cultural upheaval. It was a time when the world held its breath, wondering if this standoff would escalate into a nuclear holocaust. Yet, it was also a time of remarkable progress in civil rights, space exploration, and scientific discovery. The Cold War shaped the second half of the 20th century. While the Cold War raged, another battle for freedom was waged at home. The Civil Rights Movement. African Americans faced systemic racism and discrimination in all aspects of life. The Civil Rights Movement, gaining momentum in the 1950s and peaking in the 1960s, was a testament to the courage of ordinary Americans. From Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat to the March on Washington, the movement captivated the nation's conscience. The movement faced fierce resistance from white supremacists. But civil rights activists, armed with non-violent protest, slowly chipped away at segregation and discrimination. Landmark legislation, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, outlawed discrimination and ensured the right to vote. The Civil Rights Movement was a pivotal chapter in American history. It was a testament to the power of peaceful protest. The struggle for a more just and equitable society continues. As the Cold War gripped the world, a different competition captured the imagination: the space race. The Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik in 1957 shocked the United States. The space race was a battle for technological superiority and national prestige. The United States poured resources into its space program. The world watched as both superpowers launched satellites, probes, and humans into space. On July 20, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first human to set foot on the moon. Armstrong's words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," echoed around the globe. The space race had a profound impact on science, technology, and the human spirit. It inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and dreamers. As the 20th century closed, America faced new challenges: globalization, terrorism, climate change, and the legacies of racism and inequality. The space race remains a symbol of human ingenuity and the boundless possibilities beyond our planet. Founding Fathers, Architects of a Nation. The story of America is the story of its people. No group looms larger than the Founding Fathers. These men envisioned a new form of government, one based on the radical notion that power should reside with the people. At the forefront stands George Washington, a man of unwavering integrity. Washington, as the first president, set the tone for the office, establishing precedents for presidential conduct. His leadership laid the foundation for a stable and enduring republic. Alongside Washington stood Thomas Jefferson, the eloquent wordsmith who penned the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson, a champion of individual liberty, was a staunch advocate for limited government. His vision of an agrarian republic continues to resonate in the American psyche. Then there's Alexander Hamilton, the brilliant architect of America's financial system. Hamilton, a fervent believer in a strong central government, laid the groundwork for the nation's economic power. His vision helped shape the dynamic tension between federal power and states' rights. These men, shaped by Enlightenment ideals, were also flawed individuals. Some owned slaves, a reminder that the quest for a more perfect union is ongoing. Their contributions to the founding of the United States remain unparalleled. Lincoln, the great emancipator. No single figure in American history looms larger than Abraham Lincoln. Born in a log cabin, Lincoln rose to become the nation's 16th president. Lincoln's legacy is intertwined with the abolition of slavery. He was a self-taught lawyer and politician with a sharp intellect and deep empathy. Lincoln understood the need for compromise, but was dedicated to liberty and equality. When the Southern states seceded, Lincoln's resolve never wavered. He understood that the Civil War was about confronting the moral evil of slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 was a watershed moment. Lincoln's leadership during the war was characterized by a steady hand and clear vision. He understood the human cost of war, famously remarking, "Fondly do we hope, fervently do we pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away." Tragically, Lincoln was assassinated just days after the war's end. His assassination robbed the nation of its leader when his wisdom was most needed. Yet, his legacy lived on, inspiring generations with his eloquence and humanity. Visionaries and innovators. Shaping the American landscape. America's story is one of remarkable ingenuity. Thomas Edison, the Wizard of Menlo Park, revolutionized daily life with his inventions. Edison embodied the spirit of American ingenuity. Henry Ford brought the automobile to the masses, transforming transportation. Ford's assembly line revolutionized manufacturing. The Wright brothers' first successful airplane flight marked a turning point in history. These visionaries helped shape America, renowned for its technological prowess and entrepreneurial spirit. Their contributions remind us of the power of human ingenuity. America has been shaped by those who fought for justice and equality. Susan B. Anthony was a tireless advocate for women's suffrage. Anthony dedicated her life to securing the right to vote for women. Her efforts culminated in the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920. Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as the preeminent leader of the civil rights movement. King advocated for non-violent resistance to racial segregation and discrimination. His eloquence and belief in love inspired millions. Cesar Chavez dedicated his life to improving the lives of farm workers. Chavez organized boycotts, strikes, and marches to draw attention to their plight. His efforts led to improved working conditions and higher wages. These champions of justice remind us that the pursuit of a more perfect union is ongoing. It requires courage, compassion, and a commitment to equality and justice for all. America's identity has been shaped by its cultural icons. Mark Twain, with his sharp wit, became a literary giant. Twain's exploration of race and class continues to resonate. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, captivated a generation. Elvis's fusion of music broke down racial barriers. Marilyn Monroe became a symbol of Hollywood's allure and superficiality. Monroe's tragic death cemented her status as a cultural icon. These cultural icons reflect America's diversity and creativity. They challenge norms and capture the nation's imagination. Their contributions shape the American identity, reflecting its contradictions and capacity for reinvention. As we've journeyed through the annals of American history, we've encountered a diverse array of individuals who have shaped the nation's destiny, from its founding fathers to its social reformers, its inventors and entrepreneurs, its artists and entertainers. Each, in their own way, embodies the spirit of America, a nation built on the ideals of liberty, equality, and opportunity, yet one constantly grappling with its own imperfections. These individuals, flawed though they may have been, serve as a reminder that history is not a static narrative, but an ongoing conversation, a tapestry woven from the threads of countless lives, each contributing to the rich and complex story of a nation in constant flux. Their stories inspire us to embrace the challenges of our own time, to raise our voices for what we believe in, to strive for a more just and equitable society, and to never stop believing in the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity and shape a better future. As we look to the future, it's up to each of us to carry the torch of liberty, to uphold the ideals of democracy, and to continue the never-ending pursuit of a more perfect union. America in the 21st century is a nation at a crossroads, grappling with a complex interplay of challenges and opportunities. The echoes of its past reverberate in the present, shaping its identity and influencing its trajectory. The world's sole superpower, America's actions and decisions have global ramifications, shaping the destiny of nations and influencing the course of history. The American spirit, that potent blend of optimism, resilience, and a can-do attitude, continues to drive innovation and progress. From Silicon Valley's technological advancements to medical breakthroughs that are pushing the boundaries of human lifespan, America remains at the forefront of innovation. Yet, the nation also grapples with internal divisions, economic disparities, and social injustices that test its commitment to its founding ideals. The digital revolution, while connecting people across vast distances, has also created new divides, fostering echo chambers and exacerbating polarization. The globalized economy, while creating unprecedented wealth, has also led to job displacement and economic insecurity for many. Climate change, a looming existential threat, demands collective action and global cooperation, testing America's willingness to lead on the world stage. Despite these challenges, America's capacity for self-reflection and its enduring belief in the possibility of progress offer hope for the future. The ongoing conversations about race, equality, and social justice, though often uncomfortable, demonstrate a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths and strive for a more just and equitable society. So, what is the legacy of this grand experiment we call America? It's the enduring belief that in America, anything is possible. Regardless of where you come from, you have the opportunity to create a better life. It's a belief rooted in stories of ordinary individuals who overcame extraordinary obstacles. A legacy that continues to draw dreamers and doers from every corner of the globe, inspiring us to believe that even in adversity, the human spirit can triumph. History is a tapestry woven from countless individual lives. A story that continues to unfold, one we all have the power to shape.